My name is Alan Lovett, and I'm a past president of the Chamber of Commerce, Brantford, Brant. Our chamber is pleased to be the presenting community producer of this broadcast in partnership with Rogers TV. This evening's debate features the candidates running for Ward 5. Our city is facing a number of challenges, and bold action and strategic measures are required to ensure our long-term success as a community. I'd like to congratulate all the candidates for their commitment to our community, and we're looking forward to our debate tonight. The candidates we have with us tonight are Dale Beamer, Ian Carson, Jeff Goreski, Catherine Kissinger, Mark Littell, John O'Neill, Dustin Starchuk, David Swanson, Brian Van Tilborg, and Joshua Wall. Michael Peterson couldn't be with us tonight. Tonight our panelists are Sandra Voss, a director with the Chamber of Commerce, Brantford Brant, Ben Strasser, president of the Young Millennials Network Group, and our timer tonight is Charlene Nicholson, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Each candidate will have 1 minute to make their opening remarks. The order of speaking tonight was done by a random draw before tonight's program. The panelists, after the opening questions, will alternate in posing questions. Each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to each question with 90-second limit. In the instance of a candidate making a specific and targeted reference to another candidate in the room tonight, that candidate will be allowed a 45-second rebuttal at the discretion of the moderator. The timekeeper will indicate when you've got 15 seconds remaining and when the maximum timer has been reached, at which time your microphones will be turned off. In the case of any rulings or challenges, the moderator's ruling is final. I'd like the candidates to adhere to the agreed upon format and exercise professional decorum throughout this debate. I'd like to thank you again for your commitment to our community, wish you all the best of luck, and open it up for the candidates' opening remarks. Thank you, Jeff. Next, we have Dustin Starchuk. Dustin.
Thank you, Chamber and Rogers and fellow candidates for celebrating democracy today with me. It's fantastic. One thing I do want to say is clearly it shows that there's some issues and some concerns in Ward 5 for this many people to be running to move move forward. So I only have 60 seconds here. So what I would like is I urge everybody to check out my 5-star platform of the issues that I would like to address, which is being public safety, transportation, health and wellness, economic growth, and community engagement. You can check that out at votestarchuck.ca. And I thank you, and I hope that what you see from me today in terms of what I say to these answers are going to provide a lot of value to this community. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, everybody, for your opening remarks. We'll now move into the questions. Our first question tonight is going to come from Sandra Voss. And again, as a reminder, we'll start with David Swanson with the responses. Sandra.
Percent of the respondents said they feel only somewhat or not at all supported by the municipality in the operation of their business. What changes would you propose to create a more business-friendly and cooperative environment?
Dustin Starchuk. Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an echo to an echo, but no, I think what I would really want to figure out is 69% is, I don't know, last time I checked, that is a significant failure. So I was trying to figure out, to have something of numbers of that extreme and that high, is to figure out where's the communication breakdown to have that type of failure, to figure out what those needs are. So you definitely need to have a better communication chain when it comes to this, to figure out how those numbers actually even exist in the first place. You know, I think that when we talk about skills, we've great facilities here to train people, but what are we doing to keep people here? I think that's the thing that we need to really address. So of those business needs to have migrant workers or what have you, even if we are training people here in terms of skills trade, we don't have the transportation needs or even the infrastructure to keep them here, or affordable housing, which is starting to get even worse as people are going to start to get priced out of here pretty soon as well, right? So I think those are the types of things that we need to look at, listen to the needs of the people, and to figure out why that 69% is there to begin with. So thanks.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you to all of you for the first answers. Although there are no right or wrong answers, I do appreciate all of you that pander to the chamber. That's great. Our next question will be posed by Ben Strasser. Ben?
Our community faces a number of transportation issues, and the lack of progress on the BSAR, the Southern Access Route, is certainly at or close to the top of the list. It impacts not only the residents and businesses in wards 1 and 5, but the entire community. So the question is, which of the routes currently being proposed do you support, and will you commit to voting for a specific route by December 2020, which is the end of the second year of your term?
Thanks, Ben. And we'll lead this one off with John. Thank you, Jeff. Dustin Starchuk. Dustin.
So I'm very fortunate to be able to. I've spent a lot of time with Councillor Carpenter over the last couple of years. So we share eye to eye on quite a few things, especially with County Road 18 and moving forward. Like, we have to realize that the decisions that we're making today are not going to come to fruition for another decade or so. So we need to start thinking about the automation of transportation and how that's going to look. So we need to figure out, how are we going to ring road and loop around with the 50, 60,000 people that our province is also mandating the city of Brantford to take on over the next 25, 30 years. We need to loop around the city and remove that congestion. So Oak Road, County 18 to 424, that's going to end up coming down at some point in time in that extension. That's what we need to make decisions and be confident in those decisions to move forward. We can't just keep pushing it off or taking it out like Christmas lights, as John put it, right? So that's my process for this is to make a ring road and prepare for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, David. We'll move to our next question being posed by Senator Voss. Senator.
The city's operating and capital budgets combined total more than $200 million. A private sector company with a similar budget would require its decision makers to have the skills and expertise necessary to make sound fiscal decisions. The question is, what past professional experience do you have that will best enable you to make sound decisions based on business principles that will benefit your constituents and the community at large?
Thank you, Jeff. Dustin?
Awesome. Thank you. I look at this from two different perspectives for myself in terms of answering the question in terms of what experience do I bring to the table. So for the last 15 years, I've worked basically in client services through a marketing agency on the client side, as well as managing programs. So when you're managing an account and you have a project that you're working with, whether it be small or large, whatever that project management is, you have a budget that you have to meet. And you have to fulfill what that's going to be. If not, you need to go back to your client and say, why is this more or less, which works in the same terms. So on that side, I've been very prudent, as you say, in terms of trying to figure out some sort of effectiveness and cost savings on that end. On the other side of the scale, I also work for a nonprofit, a leading health nonprofit in Canada. So you want to talk about being accountable for every single dollar that is spent. It's a lean machine. So on that aspect of dealing with the management side of things, and always constantly in everything that you do on a daily basis, always looking at being cost effective, that's really what stands in terms of the experience that I can bring to the table from two different perspectives on how to manage the tax money that comes from everybody here, and then how to manage that on a client basis or as a project basis from the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. I'm going to move to our next question, and Ben Strasser. Ben, if you could take this away, please.
Decisions made by municipal governments affect our day-to-day lives more than any other level of government. Municipalities fund infrastructure and provide core services such as roads and sewers. Our community has experienced a number of incidents in the last 12 months that have strained or outright compromised some of our key infrastructure. We are struggling with a lack of capacity to service growth, both new and infill. So the question is, how will you ensure that infrastructure is a priority for the next term of council so that we have the necessary core services that are critical to our continued success?
Thank you, Ben. And if we could have Mark Littell lead this off. Check next. Dustin.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying here. It's at a point now where when it comes to infrastructure, it's no different than dealing with maintenance on your car, obviously on a very large spectrum here. But at some point in time, if you don't put any sort of maintenance on your vehicle, it's going to break down. And this is not a Brantford issue. This is a North America. This is a first world problem that we're facing here, that infrastructure is breaking down all over the place. So what we need to do is we need to sit back and I'm sorry, Mark, but spending resources and time on an investigation, in my eye, is just not the proper way to look at this. I think it's more so of let's sit down and put a plan together and be decisive on our plan and move forward with the things that this city needs appropriately and start chunking away at it one thing at a time. That's my standpoint on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Senator Voss, please. Senator.
Well, some issues are common to all wards and in the community at large. There are specific issues and challenges to Ward 5. What are your top priorities for Ward 5?
And we'll have Jeff Goreski. Dustin Starchuk. Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, I put out a 5-star plan, is what I call it, the 5-star plan, for a reason. Those are the focuses of the conversations that I've had with many people over the last 3 years in my community. I used to live in East Ward, and that's where my consensus comes from. The biggest thing is public safety is one of the biggest concerns. We have housing problems. We have addiction problems. We have crime problems. I don't know, there was a statistic throwing around about 60% crime rate or something like that. The statistics can be skewed in many different ways. But those are the concerns that I look at in terms that need to be addressed, in terms of getting regulations and figuring out what we're going to do in terms of bicycles and e-bikes. Are you a pedestrian or are you a cyclist? What are you? Make a decision, figure out what the rules are. You know, there's lots of things that we need to figure out in terms of the safety of the community, both in East Ward and downtown core and in Eagle Place. Transportation is my number 2 star on there, because if we don't move people, we can't have economic growth. And economic growth is number 3 on there. Every public safety issue typically is a social economic issue. So if we can get people to move properly, we can get skilled workforce here, and we can get people moving so we can have a safer community. Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin. Ian Carson. Now from Ben Strasser. Ben?
The Grand River is one of our city's greatest natural resources. So the question is, how do you feel the waterfront master plan can be utilized or modified to ensure the best development of the areas surrounding the river for our city's future prosperity?
Thank you, Ben. And we'll start with Dustin Starchuk on this one. Dustin?
Ben, thank you so much for asking this question. It is the vital point of our city. It is our identity. It's it's one of the things that I find that Brantford lacks is identity. Ontario as a whole lacks identity. I really look at the waterfront and the master plan revitalizing. It's that spot. I look at the way of the future of, it's that Instagram place, that Snapchat spot that everybody wants to be at. I think of wonderful cities like Cincinnati and what they've done with their waterfront and revitalized their entire downtown core. In that plan, you look at how Calgary has utilized the Elbow and Prince Island in utilizing their waterfront. It is the place where everybody wants to be, and that's exactly how Brantford should be as well. Is it going to take money to create this? Yes. But we're also talking about economic development and driving tourism here, right? I'd love to have 1% of Toronto's tourism dollars. It's $88 million. How would you like to have that, right? So I'm so glad that you asked this question, because I think it is, especially for Ward 5, it is that spot that's going to, it is the spot that's going to revitalize this entire city. And that's that waterfront property, or if you want to call it waterfront property, but you know what I mean. Thanks.
Thank you, Dustin. We'll now move to our next question, and Senator Voss. Senator.
The role of a city councillor is demanding and requires an in-depth knowledge of everything from potholes to the city's strategic plan. Tell us why you would be the best person for this job.
And we'll start with you. Next, we'll go to Dustin Starchuk.
Mark,
Dustin.
you said that before. How do I follow this, right? Listen, there's one thing that I'm not very good at, and that's humble brags. I'm not the best at it, so but I'll kind of try here. So first and foremost, what makes me great to be a part of this job? I'm going to have to say I've had fantastic mentorship with Councillor Carpenter for the last 3 years. He is one fantastic resource to have to plug into in the city, and I'm very fortunate to have him in that guidance for one thing. So that's one thing. I'm not all things to all people, and I'm not going to plan to be, and I'm not going to try to be. I'm good at what I do, and that's building relationships and bridging the gap. I'm good with being great at mediation, and I'm fantastic at putting plans in places and putting equations in places to map things together to be a part of a bigger picture. So it's fantastic. I know Catherine mentioned before about, I haven't even mentioned that I even chair the DPAC committee in the city, right? It's just not something that's there. So I think if there's anything that I'm really good at that's going to put myself ahead of this fantastic scale here, because I'm very good at making prompt, committed decisions, even if I have to eat crow. Plain and simple.
Thanks, Dustin. Move to the next question. Ben, please.
Brantford's overall crime rate.
Move to the next question. Ben, please.
Brantford's overall crime rate is significantly higher than the provincial average and could deter growth and investment. The question is, how can the municipality work with police services and other organizations to reduce this number?
Thank you. And leading us off with this one, Joshua Wall, please. Josh.
So I've addressed this in my platform, but I think
Dustin Starchuk. Dustin.
All right, we can do a seminar on this. So I'm going to try and be as fast as possible. So first of all, that's the one thing I would like. The statistics that's being thrown around of being the largest part of crime is based off of us as a region with the county, Six Nations, and the three combined together. So it'd be interesting to see where that breakdown is. The question is to work with the police. What can we do to work with the police? One of the things is merging resources and utilizing police with the city and the county. I think that's a huge win for everybody in that aspect. The biggest thing that I just want to bring up, and as part of like the whole process of my entire platform, is that crime essentially is a social economic problem, right? Public safety is the number one key. If you work here with the head, right, the choices we make dictate the lives we lead. If we work with the mental health issues that we have, that will start to progress in a different area. If we're able to have transportation and move people around, it will create economic stimulation for our city. Investment will come in. People will start to feel more self-worth. We'll have jobs. They'll get off assistance, and the snowball goes into there. And ultimately, at the end of the day, as Brian said, once you have all these things together, you create community engagement that people feel proud, that want to be a part of, and I think that's where we need to tackle things. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Ian. We'll move to Dustin Starchuk next. Dustin?
I definitely just want to say thank you so much to all the supporters, my friends and my family, and more importantly, my two little fidgets at home that are out there slinging signs and postcards with me. I can't do it without them, so I appreciate them very much. I believe in doing the right thing. Doing the right thing is always the right thing to do, plain and simple. It's about integrity. It's about being authentic and being genuine. And that's who I am. You get what you get. Like I said, I'm not going to be all things to all people. I'm not going to be the most popular person. I'm not going to have the most popular, make the most popular decisions, but I'm committed to making decisions to move our city forward in the right direction that it needs to go. So October 22nd, vote Starchuk right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dustin. We'll go to Jeff Goreski next. Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our candidates that are with us tonight, and thank you for your commitment to our community and specifically Ward 5. There's definitely a lot of passion around the room, and Ward 5, the fighting fifth's in good hands. I'm sure tonight's discussion will also greatly help the residents of Brantford and specifically Ward 5. I'd invite the residents watching at home, if they have any more questions, you've heard your candidates, invite you to reach out to them personally to get more information. Please do so and exercise your right to vote on the 22nd. I'd like to also thank Rogers for partnering with the Chamber of Commerce on these debates, and would like to remind everybody here and at home that if you missed any of the Wards 1 through 4 debates, they are being aired on the Rogers YouTube channel. You can go back and watch those as well as this one leading up to the debate. The mayoral candidates debate will take place next week on October 11th and again be rebroadcasted through the Rogers YouTube channels. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you for our candidates being with us and your commitment to the community. And again, let's have everybody go out and vote on October 22nd. Thank you and good night.